the proper definition of a menstrual cycle. Okay, the definition I have provided you, and very simple also. So remember this one. Mensuration, then this answer is that. Then menstrual cycle. So remember, menstruation is not the same as the menstrual cycle. Okay, the one thing to know about that is menstruation is a discharge of something, blood with the endometrium. That is called menstruation. Menstrual cycle describes the cycle in a woman's body going through menstruation, the follicular phase, then ovulation, then the luteal phase, and back to menstruation again to begin the cycle. Okay, this is so menstruation is one of the stages of one of them. Okay, the other phases are one phase of a follicular phase, ovulation phase, then luteal phase. Okay, so remember that's why menstruation is not the same as the menstrual cycle. Okay, and now if pregnancy doesn't happen, then the back to the menstruation again to begin the cycle. Okay, so this is the thing that what is the menstrual cycle is. Okay, then therefore the menstruation is therefore one of the four phases of the menstrual cycle. Okay, so that's why there is difference between menstruation and the menstrual cycle. Okay, remember. Now, its significance. Its significance is it is a cycle of natural changes that occurs in the uterus and ovary as an essential part of the making sexual reproduction possible. Okay, this is the significance. Reproduction. It is mainly for related with the reproduction of the species. Okay, so without menstrual cycle, that there will be no reproduction. Okay, that's why this is a normal process, and its significance is in the related with the reproduction of the particular species. Okay, so then it is essential for the production of eggs, means ovum. Okay, that ovulation. Without ovulation, there cannot be fertilization. Sperm cannot penetrate the ovum, and there can be fertilization, and that is not embryo formation. So this is natural process. So that's why it is essential for production of eggs, ovum. Okay. Now it prepares not only for that, it preparation of the uterus for pregnancy. Okay. Now this menstrual cycle is now important for the preparation of the uterus for pregnancy. Okay, this is other significance. Then other significance is fertile period of a woman is life between menarche and the menopause, particular point. Okay, of time. Beyond and before menarche, it is not possible, and beyond menopause also it is not possible. So in between period is the fertile period. Okay, so this is very important. That's why this is the significance of menstrual cycle. Okay, this is the significance of menstrual cycle. This is a nature's behavior, natural behavior. Okay, so that's why it should be taken as a natural behavior, not an abnormal thing. It's a physiological thing. So should has some significance in life. Okay, in woman's life, and these are the significant point. Okay, what is that? It is a natural changes. which is essential for the reproduction. It is essential for the production of ovum or eggs. It prepares the uterus for pregnancy, and now it occurs only when the woman is in fertile period. Okay, the fertile period is between menarche and the menopause. Menarche is the particular point of time where menstruation starts in woman, and the menopause is the particular point of time where the menstruation ceases. Okay, so these are the 2 points, two points of life in women. That is a particular point of time. One is menarche, and other is menopause. But these 2 points are all related with the hormones. Okay, these all things, these phases of menstrual cycles are related with the hormones. Okay, different kinds of hormones. So this is very important. Now some term I will discuss for the medical purpose. That will there are certain medical terms. Okay, primary amenorrhea. These are the terms that you will encounter in with the gynecology classes. Okay, especially gynecology. So we'll just be familiar with this term. Okay, from now. There is a one term called primary amenorrhea. This primary amenorrhea is a absence of menstruations despite signs of puberty. Okay, despite the girls is now has reached the age of puberty, but there is no menstruation, and in that condition, it is called primary amenorrhea. Okay, and the secondary, there is another term used in particularly in related with the menstrual cycle is secondary amenorrhea. The secondary amenorrhea, the difference between primary amenorrhea and the secondary amenorrhea is that absence of menstruations for 3 to 6 months in a woman who previously menstruated. Okay, so these things can occur in women in fertile period, and okay, these are the abnormal things, abnormal physiological conditions. Even if the girl has reached the puberty, if she is not having menstruation, this condition is called primary. And there is another term called secondary amenorrhea, where there is absence of menstruations for 3 to 6 months, not 1 month only. We have to wait for look for the 3 to 6 months, and then in a woman then who previously menstruated, then that is called secondary amenorrhea. Okay, Deepika सुन्नेको छ? Hello. Okay. Then another point is that there is another term, commonly used term, dysfunctional uterine bleeding. Okay, this is the term. This is a abnormal condition. Dysfunction. There is variety of causes of dysfunctional uterine bleeding. That is what here there is irregular bleeding due to anovulation of anovulatory cycle. There is no ovulation, but there is bleeding. That is also very irregular, not regular. Okay? If that condition happens in a woman, then that condition is called dysfunctional uterine bleeding. Okay, so these terms are related with the certain with the gynecology, especially the gynecology people will teach you later on in your respective year later on. But I will just introducing you some terminology. Okay, here. There are other terms related with menstrual cycle. Okay, so these are very important for you. One is menorrhagia, other is metrorrhagia, oligomenorrhea, anovulatory cycle, dysmenorrhea. Okay, very important point. Menorrhagia. Menorrhagia is a regular menstrual intervals, excessive flow and duration. The menstrual cycle occurs in the regular interval with 28 days or okay like that. But there is just there is no no abnormality in the cycle, but the only thing is that there is excessive flow and duration. Duration may be not only 3 to 4 days, may happen up to 6 days, 7 days, and the amount of discharge is also higher, okay, than the normal. Then that condition is called menorrhagia, okay, excessive flow and duration. So that's why this can happen in a woman, okay, in a fertile period. Then another term, that another condition is that metrorrhagia. Okay, here the difference between menorrhagia and the metrorrhagia is that the metrorrhagia is irregular. Okay, despite of having 28 days, it may occur in 20 days, 21 days, 24 days. Okay, okay, and with the same that excessive flow and duration. And duration may be not 4 days. Normal duration is just 1 to 4 days, but the duration may longer, maybe longer, 7 days, 8 days, and the amount of discharge, including blood and other material, is also high. So this condition is that metrorrhagia. Then another opposite condition is that oligomenorrhea. Oligo means oligomenorrhea is menstrual interval greater than 35 days. Okay, then that condition is called oligomenorrhea. The cycle is prolonged. Cycle occurs in the prolonged time. Okay, not 28 days, 35 days. Okay, greater than 35 days. Okay, then that condition is called oligomenorrhea. Then another condition is anovulatory. That term is very simple. That menstrual cycle without ovulation. There is a discharge, everything is there, but the follicle is not rupturing, the egg is not developed properly, and there is no rupture of follicle, there is no ovulation. That condition is called anovulation or anovulatory cycle. That can also happen. Then very common findings in women of menstrual age period is that the dysmenorrhea, very common condition. This means menstrual cramping or pain. Most of the young women now suffering, they suffer from dysmenorrhea. There is a variety of cause. The painful menstruation, you can say painful, very painful. There is a cramp, menstrual cramping, lower abdominal pain, backache, everything. Sometimes urinary problem, micturition, everything. So there is that kind of things can happen, and that condition is called dysmenorrhea. Okay, menstrual cramping or pain. Very common problem. Okay, so these are also very important terms to you to know you. Okay, then now we'll discuss on the normal feature of menstruation. Okay, now we go on the normal. What are the normal features of menstruation? So we'll now duration of menstrual flow, quality of the menstruation, amount of blood loss, the flow pattern, and the associated symptoms. Okay. Now the duration is normal duration is 3 to 7 days, usually 3 to 4 days. The exact duration varies from woman to woman. It, however, shows little or no variation of the same woman from cycle to cycle. A woman has 1 to 4 days, then always occurs later on 1 to 4 days. If she has a 3 to 7 days, then later on also she will have 7 days like that. Okay. It, however, shows little or no variation of the same woman from cycle to cycle. Most women do not experience cycle to cycle changes more than 1 or 2 days. If there is variation also, some little bit change, 1 or 2 days faster or slower will be there, but not more than that. Okay, so this is normal variation. Then other thing is that it is unusual for the same woman to have wide swings, such as 3 days duration in one cycle and 7 days in another. This is called wide swings. Okay, so this is now very common. So you should know about that while taking history. When we are posted in the gynecological OPD and everything, you have to take the history. In the history taking, you have to ask for the duration of menstruation, everything. So that these points should be kept here. Okay, that time. Okay. Uh, then quality, but that is duration. Then about the quality of the normal menstruation. The menstrual blood is normally bright or light, okay, red in color, like the bleeding that occurs after a knife, cut, or similar injury. Okay, it should not be black. It should not have a other color. So it should be very bright red, and it could look brown in some few women and still be normal. So if sometimes it may look brown, but that is also normal. But important point is that it must not have a fall order. Okay, the order is if fall, then that something infection or has occurred. Okay, that leads that is a point of clue that if the fall smelling is there, then the clue we can get is that some infection is going inside the uterus. Okay, or birth canal or something. So that's why that point you should look for. Okay, and small clots are maybe normal. Some small clots can look at in discharge, but part of so small clots, not big clots. Okay, small clots are normal in a normal discharge. Okay, so this is the quality. You look at the quality of the menstruation. We discuss about the duration, we discuss about the quality, and then amount. Coming to the amount, the average blood loss during normal menstrual is about 35 ml. Okay, with a range of 10 to 80 ml. So this is normal range. Okay, we can be asked in Viva. Okay, so 35 normal is 35, average is 35, for the range is 10 to 80 ml, and usually understood from the number of pads soaked. Okay, so we can count the pads also, and then so that this is practical things. Okay, so that is there. Now the flow pattern. Coming to the flow pattern, normally as menses begin to flow, the amount of blood seems to be increased gradually until it attains a maximum and then starts diminishing as the end of the flow draws near. So these things that in starting is also very amount is low. In the middle point, say 1 to 2 days or third days or second day or third day, the amount may be higher. And the fourth day or fifth day, if there, then the amount also start diminishing. And okay, and this pattern is described as crescendo decrescendo pattern. Okay? Crescendo means increasing, and then once it is reached maximum, then it starts decreasing. That is decrescendo. Okay, remember the term crescendo, decrescendo pattern. Okay, crescendo and decrescendo pattern. Now, what will be the symptoms of a menstruating woman? What she will tell during history taking is that normal menstruation may be accompanied by other symptoms such as breastfulness. She will feel that her breast is full, and mild lower abdominal pain or irritability will be there. Fluid retention, slight swelling of the feet, puffiness of face may occur. Some not for our other all women, but few of them may develop like that. Cramping, pain, lower abdominal pain. Mood swings. So mood will be swings. Something the mood changes. Then weight gain will be there because of this fluid retention. And then breast tenderness will be there. And then sometimes some women will say that some diarrhea is there. Okay, and then and some other women will say the opposite, the constipation. Okay, so this is very funny thing. Some will feel diarrhea, some will feel constipation. So this is a very funny thing. But these things while taking history, you will find these things there. Okay, this is a common thing, not a very great serious things, but it is there. Okay, okay, don't be serious. You should tell the woman, the person coming with you, that this is a normal thing, and you should not be very worried about these things. These are normal things. Okay, so and these symptoms are never debilitating. That means that even these symptoms are there, women can do normal work and normal things like that. So that's why physically these women are not debilitating. Means the condition is not debilitating, means she can do her work, okay, for a normal day. Okay, despite of this mild these symptoms. Okay. Now, if it is a severe pain, then it goes to that is a condition called dysmenorrhea. Okay, if severe pain, everything like that, and debilitating also, then you can say that this is dysmenorrhea. Okay. Now, coming to the actually the phases in menstrual cycle, one is menstrual phase, then two is follicular phase, third is ovulation phase, and fourth is luteal phase. Remember, always there are four phases in menstrual cycle. Okay, you should remember always. Follicular phase. Now we are going to discuss each and every four phases of menstrual cycles. Follicular phase begins when estrogen levels are low. Okay, now we are coming to the hormones, correlation with the hormones. Begins when estrogen levels are low. Enteroid pituitary secretes FSH and LH, and stimulation of follicle to develop. Okay, they stimulate the follicle to develop. Then cells around egg enlarge, releasing estrogen. This causes this uterine lining to thicken. So this is called follicular. Okay. So you have to describe in examination in Viva what happens, what are the particular events happening in the follicular phase. Then you have to describe this. Okay, like this. And then an ovulatory phase. The LH and FSH is still being released for another 3 to 4 days, and then there is a condition called LH surge also, certain rise in peak of this LH level, and that causes follicles to rupture, releasing ova into the fallopian tubes. Okay, so this is ovulation phase. So there is LH surge is there. There is positive feedback mechanism of estrogen, and estrogen level is slightly rises in that phase, and that is called positive feedback mechanism. And then I'll describe the graph also. Then that is called positive feedback mechanism, and then there is a LH level suddenly rises to the peak, and that causes the rupture of the follicles. Okay, in the ovulated phase. Then another phase is luteal phase. Now, empty follicle, once that particular follicle, the ovum comes out, there is a remaining part is called corpus luteum, and then now empty follicle changes to a yellow color, becomes corpus luteum. Okay, that now this follicle becomes a new term is given, but the name is given, that is corpus luteum. Okay, now this continues to secrete. Now this corpus luteum continues to secrete estrogen, but now being to be released progesterone also. Okay, the progesterone further develops uterine lining, but it prepares for pregnancy. Then the pregnant embryo will release hormones to preserve corpus luteum. Okay, that embryo will release hormones to preserve corpus luteum. Now, corpus luteum is now preserved for further hormone secretion by the embryo if their pregnancy occurs. Okay, so this is the things that this occurs in luteal phase. Then proper menstrual phase, when it occurs, then this if no embryo, if there is no pregnancy, if there is no embryo, the corpus luteum begins to disintegrate, progesterone levels drop out, uterine lining detaches, menstruation, then uterine, the endometrial lining detaches and shedding occurs, then menstruations begins. Okay, so tissue, blood, unfertilized egg, all discharge. Okay, endometrial tissue, blood, unfertilized egg also that comes into the menstrual discharge, the menstrual phase. Okay, now the normal duration of menstrual cycle is 3 to 7 days. Okay, so this is now you have to describe each and every phase like this while writing notes or describing in Viva or whatever. You have to describe like this. Okay. Deepika, सुन्नेको छ?
Sir.
Now we are coming to the hormonal level. Now you can see here this figure shows this is a hypothalamus, there is a pituitary, there is a prolactin level which makes breast, related to the breast development, and then FSH and LS go there to the ovary, and the estrogen progesterone, and there is a negative feedback mechanism also. So there are something that this is the happens. Okay, these are hormonal changes during menstrual cycle. Okay, and then now we'll come to the each and every hormone now, their function. In the table form, it becomes easy to remember you. What is the function of FSH and where from it is secreted? The FSH or follicular stimulating hormone is secreted from anterior pituitary gland. It stimulates follicular growth. Function of FSH is stimulation of follicles and stimulates estrogen secretion from developing follicles. Then another hormone is estrogen, which is secreted from ovaries, developing follicle. The development of it has the role to development of the endometrium, stimulates ELS secretions by positive feedback mechanism in follicular phase, and inhibits ELH and FSH in luteal phase. Okay, it has a dual role. In follicular phase, it stimulates, and in the luteal phase, it inhibits. Okay, ELH. Okay, so this has a dual function. And then what is LH? LH is secreted from anterior pituitary, and then it LH source causes ovulation, and it has a role in the development of corpus luteum, and it also coming to this diagram, very important. Now, before ovulation, you can see that there is rise in estrogen level. You can see that provokes the increase in the level. It stimulates the level of LH and FSH, okay, in follicular phase to secrete more LH and FSH. That is called LH source. LH source. Okay, you can see here there is LH just before 14 days. At about 13th day, there is a high peak level of LH because of this rise of estrogen. That now this is called positive feedback mechanism. Remember, I will ask in the Viva, what is positive? Oh, you are always in endocrinology. You are always asked with a negative feedback mechanism, but there is a condition called positive feedback mechanism. Not one, so we will have not only negative feedback mechanism, there can be a positive feedback mechanism also in our body, especially this LS surge in women is called this estrogen level rises. Unless the estrogen level rises like this, okay, at about 12 days or something, then there is LS surge not happen and there is no ovulation. So that's why this is kind of okay hormonal level is called positive feedback mechanism, and the LS level rises, then ovary ruptures, and that is called um, ovulation. Okay. This diagram is very important for you. Okay, this diagram is very important. Very simple diagram, and always remember this diagram. Deepika, देखिएको छ?
Huh, sir.
Okay. Now I will read this caption. Hormonal regulation of menstruation without estrogen and progesterone, endometrium breaks down and menstruation occurs. Now, what is happened? Now we can see without estrogen and progesterone. Now you can see here the level of progesterone and estrogen level during menstrual at the end of menstrual cycle suddenly goes down, and then there is now the LH and FSH also the level goes down, and then the menstruation discharge occurs. Okay, menstruation occurs. Okay, so this is a hormonal cycle. Now hormonal cycle. This is hormonal cycles. Okay, hormonal. Very important part. Okay, so this is now the once then we'll go further. Now, now coming to the effect of high and low estrogen. These things can occur in a normal woman also, and very common findings. So every woman should know about this. Too high level of what are the symptoms that if there is too high level of estrogen is there, and what are the symptoms that occur when there is low level or too low level of estrogen? Okay? Very important. If there is too high level of estrogen, there the woman will say that there is breast tenderness, there is bloating, there is volatile emotions, there is pounding headaches, weight gain, vaginal infection also will there, depression, uterine fibroids, fibrocystic breast, joint pain, water retention, and irritability, and unstable blood sugar levels. Too high, too high level of estrogen. If too low level, hot flashes, night sweats, insomnia. Insomnia means no sleep. Okay, very irregular sleep or very she cannot sleep well. Mental fogginess, decreased sexual drive and lubrication, vaginal dryness, depression, fatigue, frequent urination, okay, migration, headache, memory and concentration problem, dry skin, brittle nails, osteoporosis. Okay, so these things that are very important. So you should remember. Okay, too high level of estrogen and too low level of uh, mm, estrogen is also harmful for a woman. Okay, these things we should know about that. Then similarly, we can discuss about the too much high level of progesterone and the too low level of progesterone as well. If there is too high level of progesterone, the woman will feel fatigue, she will gain weight, she will have a dizziness, headaches, and light menstruation will be light, absent periods sometime, mental fogginess, and nipple tenderness. Okay? And then if the progesterone is too low, there is missed periods, there is a postmenopausal syndrome, and then breast tenderness, depression sometimes, rash sometimes, irritability, dry skin, hair and nails, weight gain, hair loss, heavy bleeding, insomnia, infertility. So this is the thing that mm, the infertility class will take next lecture, infertility. So this is just that's why too low level of progesterone and too much high level of progesterone is also not good. Okay, menstruating. Okay, this is the thing. This finishes the uh, lecture. Now very simple lecture that I have given, very short lecture. So remember, I'll just going to this cycle. This graph is very important. Remember what is positive feedback mechanism, what is LS search, and okay, and so on. And this graph is very important. Okay, although physiology also you will have this class maybe. You will take also what is mensuration and everything, physiological point of view. But biochemical point of view, these things are there. And that now few things that we have to learn more than that is that something new advances in male and sex hormones that there in the there is a in the testes there is something happening that I will just you note down. There is a protein called uh, androgen binding protein ABP surrounding Sertoli cells and others. The function of this ABP, write down the note, okay? The point. ABP means androgen binding protein, which helps in the binding of the testosterone and makes the concentration of the testosterone level around the testes, this spermatogonium, around high concentration. Okay, locally that amount of testosterone is high. By then that stimulates the formation of sperms. Okay, in male, the role of ABP, androgen binding protein. And there is one hormone called inhibin. Inhibin. That is another hormone secreted by ovary and testes. Inhibin. INSIBIN. Inhibin. And that hormone is now inhibits the FSH and LH. Another new hormone has been found out. Inhibin. INSIBIN. Inhibin. Okay. So these are the points, new things, new development in this male and female sex hormones, and these things that I have that you should learn. We can go to the webs and find out what is inhibin is, what is androgen binding protein, okay, and all those things you can look in the web also. And that in sometimes in the Viva in multiple choice question it can be asked about inhibin and androgen binding protein. Okay. And there are these sex hormones bound to the binding protein, elastic binding protein, sex hormone binding globulin. Okay, and in the circulation. Okay, so these things will be there in the transportation, and that we can measure these hormones in the serum. Okay, our plasma. And in our lab also, we are measuring it there, estrogen, estrogen सिद्ध्या छैन estrogen progesterone and everything that we are measuring in the lab also. Okay, and we are in the next lecture we'll discuss about the infertility, what are the tests being done in infertility, we can measure progesterone level, we can measure estrogen level, we can measure LH level, we can measure this FSH level, we can measure this what is called this SCG level, beta SCG, okay, and we can measure this thyroid hormone also is related with infertility, and so we can measure that one also, and there are other the things that this can be discussed in the next lecture, and this okay. So there you can find the hormonal condition of a male and female as well, and so you can assess the hormonal conditions of each of the couple. Okay, in infertility cases that we are going to do, and so these are very important things. So that okay. Remember that there are four glycoprotein hormones. One is TSH. Okay, they are related. TSH, FSH, LH, and HCG. Okay, human chorionic gonadotrophic hormones are glycoprotein hormones. They have a dimer, alpha and beta subunits, and alpha subunit is common, same in these four hormones, whereas beta subunit is different. The amino acid sequence, if you measure the amino acid sequence of with this beta subunit of all these four hormones, they are different. But the amino acid sequence of alpha subunit of these four hormones, glycoprotein hormones, are same. Okay, so these things that biochemical nature and molecular aspect of the this gonadotrophic hormone, thyroid stimulating hormone, and human chorionic growth hormone should remember that I am repeating always that those things I have said in the endocrine class also, but now I am telling these things also here. So verbally, so these things you keep it in mind. Okay, the important point that thing that you should remember. But this graph is very important. Always remember this graph. You can make your graph, this graph, and in your notebook or whatever, and remember. Okay, this is the thing. And okay, Deepika, कस्तो भयो आजको क्लास?